Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of my Meal Prep Made Easy series. As you know, I'm sharing brand new meal prep ideas all month long, and today's menu is so delicious. It is full of gorgeous Mediterranean flavors I know you're absolutely going to love. Now keep in mind that all of these delicious recipes, plus the shopping list and lots of tips and tricks, are available in my brand new Meal Prep Made Easy ebook. So be sure to take a look at it. All of the details are in the description box below. I'm kicking off today's menu with some really simple but delicious stuffed chicken breasts. These are literally bursting with Mediterranean flavors. I'm going to get started by mixing up my filling for these chicken breasts. I've got some beautiful crumbled feta happening here, some roasted red peppers that I've just finely chopped. Those add a lot of sweetness. And then I've got some nice salty, finely chopped kalamata olives. And then I'm adding some freshness with some beautiful fresh parsley. Now that all of this yumminess is mixed up, it's time to get started on preparing my chicken breast. Now I've got 4 boneless, skinless chicken breasts standing by. What I'm going to do is get started by finding the larger side of the chicken breast, and then I'm simply going to run a sharp paring knife along the side to create a little pocket. You just want to be careful when you're using a knife like this to make sure you don't cut all the way through the chicken breast. You certainly don't want to cut yourself, and you want to make sure your pocket is intact so it's going to capture all of that yummy filling. Now it's time to stuff our chicken breast. All I'm going to do is spoon my filling into this handy little pocket until it's absolutely full, and then I'm going to place it on a parchment-lined baking sheet. And now we are just going to finish these guys off with just some freshly squeezed lemon juice, bring a little citrusy tastiness to this chicken, a good drizzle of olive oil, some salt and some pepper, and a little bit of Greek seasoning. Now that these are nice and seasoned, it's time to get them in the oven at 400 degrees for between 35 and 40 minutes, or until your chicken reaches an internal temperature of 165 degrees. These are just loaded with flavor, but surprisingly light, so perfect for a nice weeknight meal. I like to serve them with some beautiful grilled veggies. For my salad this week, I'm whipping up an awesome Orzo salad that can absolutely be eaten cold. So it's great as a side dish, but also perfect for lunch. For this recipe, I'm actually going to be using some cooked Orzo, which is just these little pasta bits here. If you didn't want to use pasta in this recipe, you could also do this very same thing with some cooked quinoa or some wild rice. That would be amazing as well. So I've got my cooked Orzo in a bowl, and to that, I'm going to add some beautiful fresh veggies. I've got some cherry tomatoes that I've cut in half and some chopped cucumber for a whole lot of freshness and crunch. I've also got some finely chopped red onion and some finely chopped kalamata olives. And then I'm gonna finish it off with even more salt with this lovely crumbled feta. And as far as I'm concerned, there's never such thing as too much feta cheese. I love it. To that, I'm adding some beautiful fresh herbs. In this case, I'm using some freshly chopped dill and some freshly chopped parsley, but you really could use any combination of herbs you wanted to. I'm going to dress this salad really simply with a good glug of olive oil and a little red wine vinegar. If you're not into cooking with red wine vinegar, you could use lemon juice instead. That would totally work just as well. I'm going to season this up with some salt and some pepper and give it all a good stir. The longer this sits in your refrigerator, the yummier it's going to become. You could serve this with some grilled fish or some grilled chicken. It would be amazing. Some shrimp skewers. This yummy salad will last in the fridge for about 5 days or so. Get it? Orzo? 5 days Orzo? Orzo pasta? No. Moving on from terrible puns, today I'm going to show you a really amazing Greek-inspired take on a traditional chicken soup. And it has a little bit of a twist because it actually incorporates some eggs for a little additional richness and some lemon to brighten up all the flavors at the end of cooking. I've got some oil heating up in a big pot on the stove, and to that I'm going to add some finely diced onion, some carrot, and some celery. Basically, the trifecta of flavor goodness. I'm going to sweat these veggies until they soften up a little bit, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and then I'm going to add my chicken broth, some cooked chicken that I've just shredded up, and some fresh thyme. I'm going to finish this off with 1 bay leaf, some salt and some pepper, and then bring this mixture to a boil. Once it's reached a boil, I'm going to reduce my heat to medium-low, and then we are going to add our orzo. We are just going to cook this for maybe 10 minutes or so until our orzo is cooked through. And then we are going to thicken this lovely soup up with our egg lemon mixture. So we're basically just gonna break some eggs into a bowl, and then we are going to mix in just a squeeze of lemon juice. We're gonna whisk this all up to start. Now, if you know anything about cooking, you'll know that adding this into this pot is a very bad idea, because what you're gonna end up with is scrambled eggs in your soup. So what we're gonna have to do to prevent our eggs from scrambling is to temper these eggs by adding a little bit of our hot mixture into this mixture, whisking it really well, and then we can slowly add this into the pot without ending up with big chunks of eggs in our soup. At this point, I'm going to turn off my heat completely, stir in some freshly chopped parsley, and then let this soup sit for about 5 minutes or so, because it'll start to thicken up naturally thanks to those eggs. And that's it, that's all. You have this rich, satisfying soup that has all of the awesomeness of a traditional chicken soup with just something a little bit extra. For lunch this week, I wanted to try something a little different than, say, a traditional sandwich or a salad, so I decided to make some spanakopita. These are amazing little phyllo pastry things that are filled with some spinach and some feta. They're super tasty and really portable, so they're great for eating on the go. And they're actually a lot easier to make than even I thought they were, so that's always good. To get started, I'm going to be putting together my spinach and feta filling. Of course, this all starts with some spinach. You have a couple options here. You could do this with fresh spinach and just wilt it down, but I'm actually cheating with some cooked frozen spinach. It's important once you've thawed your spinach to wring out all of the water, because you really want to make sure there is no excess liquid left in your spinach. I do this by just dumping my spinach into a kitchen towel and giving it a good old wring. A little bit of elbow grease goes a long way in this process. Then I'm just going to heat up some olive oil in a frying pan on the stove, and to that I'm just going to add a few finely sliced green onions, and I'm just going to fry those up for about a minute or so, or until they become nice and bright green. Next, I'm going to add some beautiful minced garlic and let that get nice and fragrant, and then I'm going to add my spinach. I'm just going to cook this mixture for a minute or two, just until everything is heated through and all of those flavors have really had a chance to come into their own. All you want to do is let this mixture cool down for 10 minutes or so, and then you can finish making the rest of your filling. So we're gonna start with one egg, because that is the glue that holds this filling together. Once that egg is nice and mixed up, we are going to add our garlic, green onion, and spinach mixture. Then we are going to add some nice salty crumbled feta. And finally, I'm going to add some nice freshly chopped dill. And then we are just gonna mix this all together, and then we are going to set this aside and just get to work on preparing our phyllo dough. Now, in most grocery stores, you can find the phyllo sheets in the frozen food section where the frozen pie crusts are. That's where I found mine, at least. And what you wanna do is let them thaw overnight in the refrigerator. When you're ready to use them, it's really important to keep them wrapped in a damp kitchen towel, because they do tend to dry out quickly. As you can see, they come in a roll. What I like to do is to cut myself a strip that's between 2 and 2.5 inches long, and then I just lay out one sheet on my cutting board and brush it with some melted butter. I top it with another sheet, brush that with some butter, and now it's time to get filling. So we're looking at about maybe a teaspoon of filling. Let's start with this and we'll see how it goes. And what you're gonna end up doing is creating right angles. Now back to 3rd grade geometry. So you're just folding like so. And what you end up doing is creating this amazing little pouch of spinach and feta goodness. Once you've created all of these delicious little triangles, you can lay them all out on a parchment-lined baking sheet and finish them off simply with a little brush of egg wash, which is really just one egg that I whisked up and then brushed on with a pastry brush. Into the oven they go for about 20 minutes or so, and what you end up with are these little golden parcels of yumminess. It ends up having like dozens of layers of lovely phyllo, so it gets nice and crispy. I like them served with some tzatziki sauce. You can definitely use store-bought if you wanted to, or if you want to make your own, I've got a recipe for that. You can click right here. Next on today's menu, I want to show you a yummy breakfast idea that is just peachy. They're my yummy peach yogurt parfaits, and of course they start with some beautiful peaches. All I'm going to do is dice my peaches up and then throw them in a baking dish. I'm going to top them with a good drizzle of honey and a little sprinkle of cinnamon. Now you don't have to cook your peaches here, but I think they really bring out the flavors in the peaches, especially if your peaches are a little underripe. Cooking them can go a long way. So I'm gonna pop them in the oven for 15 minutes or so, just until they soften up a little bit, and then I'm going to build my parfaits. So I've got some small mason jars, and I'm just going to start by filling each one about 1/3 of the way with my peach mixture. Then I'm going to add some lovely vanilla flavored yogurt, a little more of my peach mixture, and then I'm going to finish it off with some chopped almonds and a little drizzle of honey for sweetness. Can you think of a sweeter way to start your day? I don't think so. These lovely parfaits will last in the fridge between 4 and 5 days. You just want to give them a good stir before enjoying them, but they are so yummy and really easy to put together. Great to have on hand for either breakfast or a snack attack. Speaking of snacks, on this week's menu, I'm making some stuffed dates. So I've got some dried dates, and all I'm going to do is pit them, and this is really easy to do. You just split them with your thumbs and then remove the pit. Once you've pitted your date, what you're left with is a reservoir that is just waiting to be filled with all sorts of deliciousness. In this case, I'm actually filling it with a scoop of tangy goat cheese and some crunchy chopped almonds. Now, if you didn't have almonds, you could also do this with some chopped pistachios or some chopped pecans. Both of those would be amazing. I really love this snack because it's got the sweetness of the date with the tangy saltiness of the goat cheese and all that crunch from the nuts. I highly recommend you try it. Make a big batch because you cannot stop at just one. Take my word for this. I really hope you guys enjoyed this week's menu and that you will give the recipes a try at home. If you do not forget to, of course, tweet or Instagram me a photo because you know I love seeing your creations. Remember that all of these tasty recipes are available in my brand new Meal Prep Made Easy ebook. All of the details on that ebook are in the description box below, so be sure to take a look there. And finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe because I will be back next week with even more meal prep deliciousness. Stay tuned.